down. Got a great challenge this week against a good Rice team that gave Tulane all they could handle on the road last week. What impresses you the most about them is the way that they're playing as a team in all three phases, and especially on defense. They fly around, they're stingy, they make things happen. We saw that last year when we played them at Rice. They've got a quarterback, I believe, in E.J. Warner, who's got incredible football intelligence. He gets rid of the ball quickly, played really well last week in the first half, and then there was just some things Tulane did. It got to him a little bit, but it's a real challenge. Their special teams unit's good. They've got good returners. Last week in their punt return game, they were really good, and that was something we were not good on Saturday, so we've got to make real improvements there. But I think for us, it's just about, us focusing on executing at a higher level than we did Saturday and getting our run game going, which, has been a little bit of a struggle the last 2 weeks. Taking advantage if teams are giving us some one-on-one coverage outside. And just as coaches, making sure we're doing everything we can every day to put our players in a position to have success. And then when they cross that line, it's up to them to go make it happen. But it's about all of us doing all we can to make sure that we're capitalizing on everything that we have in this building going forward, and putting the best effort we can as coaches and players into action on Saturday. So that's where we're at.
Why do you think your running game has struggled recently?
Well, I know why it's struggled, and I think it's something that we'll let our opponents figure out rather than me talk about.
So what do we need to do better, I guess?
Well, once again, I think that's something that it wouldn't behoove us as a UConn football team nor a UConn nation for me to talk about why I think we're struggling and give an opponent an opportunity to listen to me say why I think we're struggling and then go, oh, this is why he thinks we're struggling. Let's zero in on that. I'm not trying to avoid, well, I am avoiding your question for a strategic reason, not for a disrespectful reason.
You talked about the maturity of this team before. I guess, is there anything that impressed you about the way that they turned the page from that loss and got to practice this week?
Yeah, Joe, so I was impressed. Listen, you're going to get in some tough games, right? I mean, football is a tough sport, and not every week's going to be a blowout or easy. You're not always going to move the ball. You're not always going to play great defense. I mean, you watch every game on Saturday, and there's some games that are tough. So what impressed me initially was the way we fought back, especially offensively. Late in the game, in the fourth quarter, really from the 10-minute mark on, as a team, how we fought back. And that showed maturity to me, because things were not going well, especially offensively, as you could see. And they have been going pretty good for us, and they weren't, and yet our guys didn't blink. And so that impressed me. And then just in the locker room after the game, their reaction to the loss impressed me. There was obvious disappointment, but there was also a sense of resolve. And I felt that when we came in Sunday, I felt it yesterday, and I felt it in the way we practiced today. And as a coach, that's encouraging. When you don't feel like you always have to be the impetus or the voice or the guy that's pointing out, hey, let's get more out of ourselves. And so we have a lot of guys that do that. And, it's that peer-to-peer accountability that's the strongest. And we have a really good sense of that on this team.
I'm curious about the 24 hours after the game, just the process that you go through as a coach. Do you meet with your coaching staff? Like, when does that all happen, and how fast are you to make a plan for this week?
It has to happen pretty quickly. So Sundays the players are off, and we bring them back for dinner. But the coaches, we all watch it immediately. As soon as we have the iPads now. So we don't even have to wait for it to get up on our server, and we can go back and watch it immediately. I mean, I'm watching it usually on the way home while Kathy's driving. This week was a little different for me because I had to gather myself. I told David Benedict yesterday that was probably one of the more frustrating losses that I can remember in my career as a head coach, just the way I felt after that game. I haven't felt that way in a long, long time. I think that is an indicator of where this program is going, But then Sundays, the first thing we do is we spend some time with our family. The families of coaches suffer. It's a tough business. You're working 100 hours a week, and we need some time around them. Then we come in the afternoon and we watch the film immediately. We meet, together as staffs, offense and defense, separate. We don't do this big staff meeting just because we don't need to waste that time. I can go back and forth now, which I couldn't do before. And then we're immediately on to the next opponent. Now, we have already broken down their games. Our graduate assistants, our analysts have already broken down the games, got the computer work done, got drawings, gotten tendencies, all those things. And then the coaches will go back and look at it the way that they like to look at it. Like Matt Brock will start at the start of the season and work through. Me, typically, I'll start with their most recent game and work backwards. But we're always kind of, getting to a point, and then Sunday night we start formulating the game plan on offense. Defense is more individual stuff. And then Monday morning, we meet with our players, and then we spend, that late morning into the afternoon really doing the solid game planning, and then we start really in earnest working on our opponent on Monday afternoon with the players.
And you just said that your frustration is kind of an indicator where the program is going. Does that mean that you have higher expectations, you can see good things coming, and you're just frustrated you haven't gotten them?
Yeah. That's exactly right. I look back at our last two losses, and I'm not talking about Maryland. I mean, that one was, I think, an abomination. But you look at the last two ACC games, and they really came down to the end of the game, one on the road, one at home against two really good teams. And they both came down to, for whatever reason, I'm not complaining about the officiating, but they both came down to non-calls on obvious pass interference plays, And I want to get to a point as a football team where we can play a Duke and we can play a Wake, and it doesn't come down to relying on an ACC official to make a call against a team in their conference, And I don't think those officials do that on purpose. I don't think that they consciously go, oh, it's an ACC team versus an independent, I'm going to throw the flag. But, it's happened twice now. So there's, that as a coach, as a competitor, you go, oh, I don't think it's happening, but it's happened twice, So, but I want to get to the point as a team where that doesn't even matter, And I think we're capable of doing that. We fight and we scratch and we kick and we bite, and our guys don't give up, and we're in those games. But we gotta find a way to win them without relying on an official who's doing the best he can to make a call.
Was Nick's fourth quarter indicative of his progress this year and how he's improved? Because he's pretty good.
I believe that his second half, and in particular his fourth quarter, yes, very much so. It's the best he's played. He saw things well. He delivered the ball on time. He took care of the football. Yeah, I believe that, that was progress made. And he had a great week of practice last week. We had a great week of preparation. And, you have to convince your players that great week of practice, even though we didn't get the result that we wanted on the field, is compounding, and it'll carry over. So it's not like, oh, well, we practiced great and we didn't get a win, we have to start all over. No, it's compounding. We have to build on that, and today was an indication that we're building on it.
What you see from Price Yates is obviously good to have him back.
Yeah, it is, and he'll be better this week. He hadn't played in quite a while. And I'm not going to say he was rusty, but he wasn't as instinctive as he'll be going forward. There's nothing like getting game reps. You can get, a million practice reps, but that's not the same as being in a game, And Price is really smart. He's very conscientious. He needed the snaps that he got, and he'll be better this week.
What about Ben Morosky? Went off injured. What's his assessment?
Yeah, it's not good for Ben. He's going to have surgery in the next week or two. They've got to wait for the swelling to go down. It was a kneecap issue, and some other things in his knee, and they're gonna let the swelling go down, and then they're gonna come in and surgically repair it. So he's done for the season. So that means Kyle Juergens and Brady Wayburn and Tank Green. We'll rely on those guys, and they'll do well. Kyle had to leave the game as well. He got a scratched cornea. Thought he might be able to get back in, but his vision never cleared back up. But he was fine today. He practiced. Tank was fine. Brady's fine. So we're fortunate we have some depth up front, but we'll certainly miss, Big Ben.
Are you concerned and discouraged about your running game, or because you can pick certain things out, it's fixable?
That's a good question. It's like concerned, yes. Discouraged, no. Just, everyone in this building realizes that we're not running the ball to our standard. And what's great about our players is they take ownership. it bothers them as much as it bothers anybody. And the role of the coach is to give them answers, you know, and I believe that, you know, we have a good staff offensively that has come up with some things and really looked at it hard, and there are some, you know, there are some reasons why we're not running it as well as we were earlier, and you know, we hope that we've been able to fix those. We have to adjust during games when people are doing things that, you know, we're not necessarily haven't prepared for because they haven't shown in the past. And we just got to put our guys in a position where they can have the success that they're working towards.
At this point in Nick's career, I guess, what are you looking for to see from him? Like, what's the next
In whose career? I'm sorry.
Nick Evers.
Nick's.
What's the next stage in his development?
Consistency. You know, I would have to say it's consistency. I think we all see that there is talent there. He hasn't played a lot still. You know, every time like he's getting ready to play, I kind of tell you that he hasn't played a lot. Eventually, I'm going to have to stop saying that, but it's still true. You know, it's still true. At that position, probably more than any position in football, snaps are relevant. How many snaps you've had, good snaps and bad snaps, where you can learn from both. And he hasn't had a ton yet. You know, unfortunately, he's had to miss some game time because of the injuries. But he just needs to continue to work on being consistent. And as he gets more comfortable with his own game, then he can become a little bit more of a forceful leader verbally. You know, like out there today, he was a different kid out there on the field today at practice than he's been. And I think that's just a function of him having some confidence built from the fourth quarter, you know. So I want to see him just continue to be consistent and take care of the football.
I was going to say, how big is it that he's actually healthy for practice to attack, you know, preparation?
Well, he looked different. You know, one thing that I didn't talk about last week is that, you know, we all knew that he got hit in the head, but he also had a toe sprain. So he's working through the toe sprain. And then last week, like on, I think it was Monday or Tuesday, he dropped a weight on that toe. And yeah, and they had to remove the toenail that day. So he went through the whole week of practice without a toenail, and he played in that game with these big old honky lineman shoes on to try to protect his toe. And he hobbled through practice last week, you know, and he kind of, if you watched it closely, which I know you guys did, you could see him kind of hobbling sometimes on, you remember that sprint out to the right? And he did get the throw off, but he was hobbling, you know. Well, today at practice, he was full speed, man, and he was locked in. And that's how he's going to be, besides the game reps, that's how he's going to increase his consistency. And the guy cares, he's smart, he's talented, he's an awesome kid, his teammates love him. It's just getting snaps, man. And as he gets snaps, he's going to accelerate, and we're going to love it.
So I imagine that's always why we didn't see him take off as much.
Well, yeah, I think it was they didn't give him a lot to take off and go, you know. And I don't know that, you know, you'd have to ask him if the toe is holding him back, and I know he's going to tell you no, you know. But he's fine now. I mean, he looked great today at practice. It was just there was a different energy to him, and it was a real positive thing. And I just, you know, that's what he's capable of, and that's what he's going to become around here.
It seems like you guys haven't gone to Skylar Bell quite as much. Is that reflective of the defense that's being played against him?
It is, specifically last Saturday. So they were rolling up on him, doubling him, you know, putting people around him. You know, the silver lining in that is when you can get 7 catches for Josiah Gathings, you know, and you can get catches for TJ Sheffield, and, you know, you can get catches for Brett Buckman, and, you know, Shamar's going to be more involved. You know, you don't have to depend on one guy, so it's nice to have more weapons, really, than we've had since I've been here. You know, and that doesn't even include the running backs who, you know, unfortunately we had some drops out of the backfield on Saturday, which is really uncharacteristic of our back. We had 4 drops, which we don't typically have. But those guys, as you know, if we get them in space, they're playmakers. So as you present more guys offensively that they have to defend, you know, it makes it harder to double a guy like Skylar. So it should it should theoretically open some things up as more guys get involved.
I think that's the second or third time you said maybe Shamar can get more involved.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen some big catches in games. Do you see progress out of him so he's getting closer?
Absolutely. You know, one of the factors on Saturday was, you know, you have a plan on going in on, you know, you want to get your playmakers the ball. I mean, that's what offense is all about, is get your playmakers the ball in space and letting them go use their athleticism and skill set. But we didn't stay on the field, you know. We weren't on the field enough. So we got to convert on third down so we can get more plays and get more guys involved. Guys like Shamar that can do some things. I mean, he's a really good football player, and we've got to give him opportunities. But to give him opportunities, we got to be on the field, you know. And that was a little bit frustrating for us.
You talk about converting third downs. Do you more look at the operation of the plays that you call, or do you look at the plays in general? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I look at first and second down first of all. Like what situation have we created on third down? You know, is it a third and short, third and medium, third and long, and why is it what it was, right? And then, you know, when you when you're making a call on third down, it's based on a number of factors. Obviously, you know, how are you playing? Are you struggling at a certain position? Or how are they playing you? What have you seen on film? What do their tendencies say? You know, who's hot, getting the ball. So a whole lot of things. You know, like I think sometimes for you know, people watching a game, when you run the ball on a third and long, it might not make sense. Why did they run it on 3rd and 8 there? Well, there could be a number of reasons. You know, it could be that they're playing a particular defense where if we do get one block, we're going to gash them. You know, or you might be setting yourself up for a field goal, or you're like on the cusp of field goal range and you don't want to take a sack, or you're backed up, you know, and you don't want to make a horrible play, get sacked, have to punt, and give them good field position. So, you know, all of those things, all of those factors go into every call. And so it's never just as simple as, you know, this call right here. That's why, you know, you have to study and you have to adjust and you have to be prepared for anything that come up in a game.
You see Lou Hanson making progress. I mean, we're seeing him get a few more catches here and there, and he's certainly someone you could use on those third downs.
Yeah, you're right. And he looks more confident. He's got a little swagger going. That was really a nice throw and catch that between he and Nick for the touchdown. You know, Lou plays with a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm. He's very, very smart. He's very, very tough. He's very, very committed. You know, he's the kind of guy you want to bring into your program. And, you know, the more guys that the defense has to worry about covering, all right, the more successful you have a chance to be offensively.
He's also learned about Cam Chadwick and what he's all about. Obviously, he had the interception last week, but you know, they also got a touchdown on him. It just seems like he's brought a lot to this team.
Did he have a touchdown on him? Yeah,
Yeah.
The pass over.
yeah, I don't remember. I guess I just forgot that one. Huh? I think he's becoming a really good player, and I think that the future is very bright for him. He really cares. He's athletic. He's smart. He's got good ball skills. He's like any corner. I mean, listen, if you haven't been beat at corner, it just means you're usually over on the bench, right? And the thing about Cam that is encouraging is that he has been beat. You know, you think back to the Duke game, right? And they got after him a little bit, but the corners that let it bother them, the corners that live in the past, are the corners that are not going to be successful, because it's just like an offensive tackle. You know what? You're going to give up a sack every once in a while. As a corner, you're going to give up a play. It's the nature of the position. It's the guys that can let it go and learn from it and then move on with confidence that are going to have success. And Cam has shown the ability to do that. Plus, he's tough. You know, he's physical. He'll come up and he'll tackle.
All right.
Okay, thanks, everyone.